Give us a little bit of background on what you did learn working with NASA that's applicable to your book and also your expertise today.
It's been about 25 years in the making, building organizations. So when I say organizations, I don't just mean startup companies, but I mean corporates, Fortune 1000s, government organizations that I've worked with. And so I built this blueprint. And my biggest learning, stepping back with NASA was, I've been working on innovation and breaking barriers for so long. And the most amazing experience I had at NASA was the fact that because they're on the edge of science and innovation, there's a lot of unknowns. And I'm a guy that knows that real growth comes from the unknown. It comes from a place that you and I can't even imagine. And that's usually what stops people from growing.
One thing I'm curious about, and I like that you put it this way, one of the thoughts in your book is how to grow, growth hacking. And you say a systemic and creative approach. And I think systemic is, for me, the key word, because there's nothing you can do or improve on in life without being systemic about it and being intentional and consistent. So Absolutely. Why don't you shed some light on what your thought process is and what are some of the key strategies that you teach folks in terms of growth hacking?
Growth hacking is an emerging discipline. So you can't really go to Harvard and get an MBA in growth hacking. There isn't the methodology that brings all these emerging practices together. And that's what I've done in my book. I've developed a methodology that brings it together. But what's unique about this methodology, and this is something I've experienced, I'm sure that you've experienced, where structure and creativity battle each other, right? They seem to be like a toxic situation. I tell people, think of it like peanut butter or jelly or chocolate and chili. They sound like they don't belong together, but when they come together, they make this amazing taste. And that's what structure and creativity should be doing together. So in the growth hacking space where we just don't know and we're looking for the areas to get that growth, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that peanut butter and jelly. And so we need a method to do that, which didn't exist. So when I wrote this book, I specialized only in the area of growth where there aren't very many methodologies, because people would, build a product, they would project manage it, build a company around it. And then it's like, what do I do now? How do I accelerate the growth? And growth hacking, from a definitive perspective, the way I define it in my first book, is disproportionate results. It means I put 1 unit of effort and I get 5 units of results out of that 1 unit of effort. That process in the middle that switches from putting a lot of effort to getting no or little results, that in the middle is growth hacking, which is transitions from little effort to high results, right? And so this is like, it's an art and a science in itself. I explain it very carefully in my first book. In the second book, which is the growth thinking, is the methodology and how to bring it out, which combines the structure and the creativity to make it work.
You're the first person that I've seen that's really come up with almost a scientific formula with regard to growth. What is growth as it applies to profits and time? How did you come up with that formula, and how do we use that to understand what growth really is?
So I've built a ton of failing companies. And so when I step back, I asked myself a very simple question. When I wrote my first book, I said, why are some companies that I've consulted or built and been involved in, why have they grown? Why have some of them not grown? Why have some of them started growing and stopped growing? And the opposite, why have some of them not grown and all of a sudden started growing? So I categorized it in these 4 areas and started researching and understanding what happened in the last 25 years. What was it that's unique about these type of organizations? And that's when I started to bring it into a methodology.
How important is visualization, and why is it seems to be the dependent variable of all the different phases of the growth hack?
Well, it's about communication. So if I can paint one picture that we can all understand, so even if you and I speak 2 different languages, but I'm able to visualize it in front of you, we probably can understand each other much better. We need to be able to communicate without having to read the language. And that's why visualization is super, super, super important. You've seen the emergence of this with the business model canvas, design thinking. I mean, they're all playing on this because it's really important. We're visual people. I mean, I know some of us more than others, but if I'm able to put a single picture and show it to you, and we can talk about that picture, as they say, a picture's 1,001 words, we can communicate a lot better, and I can get others on board. I can build collaboration. So visualization is a super, super, super important part of not just my methodology, but other people's methodologies as well. And I think you're right. That is the one really important variable that has changed or has been consistent, over a long period of time.
I have nadersabry.com. Anywhere else we'd like people to reach out to you at?
That's probably the best place. Yeah, head over there. Or you can go to my YouTube channel as well. I've got a lot of free content there for people who are interested about what is growth hacking, how does it work.